Okay, I just wanted to make a video uh, addressing the problem where they showed you the graph of a tangent function and you were asked to write down the equation. I was a little disorganized in my thinking there, so I wanted to clarify a couple things. So first, let's compare a function involving a sine and one involving a tangent. So just to review, A equals the amplitude. That's pretty easy. And that also equals 1/2 of the total height. I'm going to abbreviate that total height. So that's A. Now, K is just the vertical translation. That's pretty straightforward, so let's not worry about K. But the phase shift, let's talk about the phase shift. So the phase shift simply equals h. So if you see an equation written this way, x minus h, there's a positive phase shift, and the magnitude is h. But you could have a negative phase shift, in which case the two negatives would cancel out and the equation would look like that, x plus h. So I always remember this was a little confusing to me. If it's in the form of x minus h, it's a positive phase shift. And if it's x, well, of course, if it's x minus negative h, it's a negative phase shift. But more commonly, when you see this equation or when you write it down, it's going to be x plus h. So x plus h is a negative phase shift. And then B, that's pretty easy. Period equals 2 pi over B. And so if B is greater than 1, you get a shrinkage of the period. So magnitude of the period goes down. If B is less than 1, you get a stretch of the period or an increase in the period. So yeah, so that's how that works. So over here with tangents, everything is really the same except A is a little different, because as we pointed out, it doesn't really make sense to talk about the amplitude of a function involving tangent when when the solutions approach infinity and negative infinity. But you can talk about you can talk about the fact that the value of A determines whether there's vertical shrinkage or stretching. So if A is positive, there's a stretch, if A is, if the absolute, let's say it this way, if the absolute value of A is greater than 1, then you get a stretch in the vertical direction. And if the absolute value of A is less than 1, then you get shrinkage. So that's where it comes in. Now the question is, how do you know if you're just looking at the graph, how do you know if there's been a stretch or a shrinkage? And so the next video will address that question.